All right, UFC Mexico City is underway. Let's just jump right into it. We got Brandon Moreno versus Brandon Royval 2. This is a rematch because the first fight ended in a shoulder injury. I'm going to go Brandon Moreno by round 4 submission. I think there's been just quite a few fights with Brandon Royval where there kind of just leaves a lot to be desired, and I'm kind of just rather unimpressed with some of his performances. Like when he fought for the title 296, I mean, aside from round 5 where he almost finished him and was looking real good on the feet, and I believe it was round 1 that was kind of a swing round. He was just getting dominated and controlled, and he was basically just getting wet blanketed by Pantoja. And I honestly think Moreno is capable of doing the same thing, but I think he's going to take advantage. I think Moreno's going to take advantage of him on the feet in the first round or two. He's got the reach advantage. I think I like him more on the feet. I think he throws better combinations. I think he lands more. But I think I give Moreno the wrestling and the grappling advantage. So I think he's kind of just going to win some rounds with control time and just dominant positions. And I think round 4, I think he's going to eventually take his back and then just rear naked choke. Maybe I shouldn't pick rear naked choke, but I'm definitely picking round 4 submission for Brandon Moreno. Next fight, we got Yair Rodriguez versus Brian Ortega 2. Again, it's a rematch when the first fight ended in a shoulder injury. I think Yair Rodriguez is going to beat the fucking piss out of him for 15 straight minutes. I don't think this is going to go to a finish. I don't think he's going to get KO'd or TKO'd. I wouldn't be surprised, but I don't think he's going to get TKO'd because first he's been very inactive, so he hasn't been taking blows to the head. He hasn't been knocked out recently. I don't think he's won a fight since 2020, and that was fucking TKZ. But also, like the inactivity of Brian Ortega is ultimately going to be the detriment to him for this fight. He's just very lackluster. I can't believe he's been ranked like 3 for the past couple years. He hasn't fought since it's almost been 2 years. And like I said, he hasn't won a fight in 4 years. So I mean 3.5, 4 years. And I know Yair Rodriguez is coming off a loss, KO loss, that is, but I still think he looked very good on the feet in that fight. I think he's got these very dynamic combinations that he throws. He switches things up so fluidly. He'll throw a question mark kick to the head. He'll have these like little combinations, and then he'll throw like a lead leg kick to the head. And I think the volume is going to overwhelm Ortega. I think he's going to shoot, and I think he's gonna get his takedown stuffed. And I think if he does take him down, I think he's not going to be able to hold him down because he's just a very tall, long guy, and I think he's just going to get back up to his feet rather easily. I think Yair has the ability to get back up to his feet. I've seen it quite a few fights. But yeah, I think Yair is going to win a 30-26 decision. I think there's probably going to be a 10-8 round in there. He's going to knock him down once or twice. And I mean, you got to think 2 fights ago, his last fight was against Yair when his shoulder separated. And the fight before was just a fucking 5-round battering. All right. Next fight, we got Raul Rosas Jr. versus Ricky Tercios. Obviously, Raul Rosas Jr. is coming off a very nice KO win against Terrence Mitchell. That was the Shevchenko and Grasso 2 card. That was the fight night with JDM and Kevin Holland, shit like that. Ricky Tercios, I believe he's coming off a win. I think he's 2-1 in his last 3. But the thing is, like, his wins are pretty fucking bad. Like, they're split decisions over nobodies. And he's got a decision loss against Ayman Zahabi, Faraz Zahabi's brother. I think it's his brother. Cousin, brother, some shit like that. And also, he hasn't fought in a very long time. He didn't fight at all in 2023. So, like, his last fight was like a year and a half ago. It was like a shitty split decision win on a random fight night. Of course, Tercios has the major age advantage. He's probably fucking 10 years older than Raul Rosas. He's got the reach advantage. The thing is like, I'm just not impressed with Ricky Tercios. He cannot finish a fucking fly. And Rosas Jr. has a tendency to burn himself out in round 1, to just go fully balls to the wall, just go completely crazy in round 1, just throw crazy shit, attempt a lot of takedowns. For that reason, I'm going Raul Rosas Jr. by round 1 KO. Fuck it, I'm giving him a KO. I'm giving round 1 KO. Potentially round 1 submission. I wouldn't be surprised either. Because like I said, man, Raul Rosas just goes, just abandons all of his coach's advice, just goes fully crazy, uses all of his energy in round 1, and that was actually the detriment to him for his loss against Christian Rodriguez, I think his name was. Like, that was exactly what happened. He looked pretty good in round 1, but just completely gassed the fuck out in round 2. And was getting controlled, just wasn't landing shit at all. But I think, like I said, I think the fight is going to go very similar to how his Terrence Mitchell fight went. So I'm going Raul Rosas Jr. by round 1, KO TKO. All right. Next fight, Daniel Zellhuber versus Francisco Prado. Daniel Zellhuber just he has much better wins. I think he's got 2 or 3 wins in the UFC. He's coming off a submission against Christos Giagos, which is a pretty fair win. And I think he won a pretty definitive decision. I want to say that was shit. When was that? That was like some fight night. That was the fight night of what's his name? Arnold Allen and Max Holloway. Francisco Prado, he's got like I think he has 1 win in the UFC, and he's got a decision loss to Jamie Mullarkey, like a recent decision loss to Jamie Mullarkey, and that's kind of concerning. And that also was a long time ago. So he's not like too active. I mean, he is coming off a KO win. Dude kind of looks like Drew Dober a little bit. He's got like the Drew Dober face and chin. Okay, but anyway, besides the point, I think Daniel Zellhuber's going to he's going to take advantage of him on the feet. He's got like a fucking 9-inch reach advantage. He's much taller. He's 3 or 4 inches taller. He's got 8 or 9-inch reach advantage. And like I said, I think Daniel Zellhuber has the better wins and against the better competition. So I'm going to go Daniel Zellhuber by round 2 KO. Next fight, we got Manuel Torres versus Chris Duncan. What's that? Manuel Torres is coming off of either 3 or 4 straight first round KOs. And Chris Duncan is coming off of, I think he has 2 wins in the UFC. One of them was a split decision. One of them was unanimous. I don't remember who they were against. I think his last fight was the Aspinall card. Not 295, the fight night. Manuel Torres, I don't know. So, I mean, if you really, like, he lands a ton of, like, he throws a lot of volume. He lands a lot. He's got the reach advantage. They're relatively the same height. Chris Duncan shoots a lot of takedowns, though, but Manuel Torres has never been taken down in his career, at least in his UFC career. So, I don't know. I just think if you pair the power of Manuel Torres plus the lot of volume he throws, plus the reach advantage, plus the momentum of coming off of fucking 4 straight first round KOs. Or maybe it was 3. Maybe it was 3. Yeah, it might have been 3. But yeah, I mean, I think these guys are like relatively equal in experience. I think they both have 3 fights in the UFC. I just think Manuel Torres has fought and beat better competition in more exciting fashion. And like I said, he throws a lot of volume. He's got a lot of power in his hands. And like I said, Chris Duncan shoots a lot of takedowns. And Manuel Torres has never been taken down, but he's also relatively comfortable on the ground. So I'm going to go Manuel Torres. I'm going to go either round 3 TKO, or is it going to go to a decision? Right on to the prelims. We got Christian Quinones versus Raoni Barcelos. So Barcelos has lost 4 of his last 5. Only win was against fucking Trevin Jones, which is just not, I mean, Trevin Jones is ass. However, he has fought the better competition. Like, he lost a decision to Victor Henry, then he got KO'd fucking out cold by Umar, and then he lost a decision to Kyler Phillips, who I think is very underrated and very good. But then we got Christian Quinones, who has very little experience in the UFC. I think he only has 1 win, and that was a KO against a nobody. I can't even think of who it was at this point. He's also, I think, 9 years younger than Raoni Barcelos. To be honest, I'm not really impressed with either of these guys. Let me see. Like, I know Quinones has the age advantage. He's got the reach advantage. I mean, they're relatively, like, I feel like they throw the same amount of volume, I would say. Quinones has good takedowns, I would say. I think this is just going to be a very fucking boring fight, and I think it's going to be... I don't even know. To be honest, I'm just going to give it 29-28 to Barcelos because he's fought better competition, and Quinones is a big step down from Kyler Phillips and Umar, I would say. So I'm going to go Raoni Barcelos. He's old. He's 36. He's a veteran. He has a lot of fights. I think he's going to know how to get him out of there. I think, like I said, it's going to be a 29-28 decision for. All right, next fight, we got Jesus Aguilar versus Mateus Mendonça. I'm definitely saying that wrong. I'm just going to call him Mateus. Jesus Aguilar, he's coming off like a beautiful KO win against Shannon Ross. That was fuck. That might have been the France card, or like one of those like summer fight nights. I don't think it was the Taporia Emmett card. It was. I don't know. I think it was one of those like summer fight nights. It was in like July or something. And then the fight before that, he got submitted in the first round by Tetsuro Taira, which is not that bad because Tetsuro Taira is a fucking dominant grappler, and he's very good up and coming contender in that division. Mateus Mendonca, I mean, these guys are both small guys. Like Jesus Aguilar is 5'4", Mateus is 5'6", but Mateus has like a 10-inch reach advantage. Like he has a 71.5-inch reach, and Jesus Aguilar has a 62-inch reach. There is no way that anyone in the UFC has a shorter reach than that. Like that's a 5'2" reach. He has a negative ape index. Mateus Mendonca, whatever, does actually not have a win in the UFC though, which is a little concerning. Like he lost a decision to Javid Basharat a fucking long time ago. That was the Strickland Imavov card. That was in like January, December or some shit. But that's not that bad of a loss. The Basharat brothers are pretty damn good. Can't take too much away from him. But his last fight after that was relatively recently. It was in October, and he got KO'd by Nate Maness. And that, like I said, that was October. So I think that's a pretty quick turnaround after a first round KO. However, I'm picking Mateus Mendonca. Definitely butchering that name. I apologize. He's Brazilian, I think. But I'm going Mateus Mendonca to KO him in the first or second round. I think Mateus throws a lot more and he lands a lot more. And Jesus Aguilar, he shoots for a lot of takedowns. So I think it's that reach is going to really be a problem for him. He's going to get pieced up on the feet and he's going to start shooting for takedowns. And as a result, Mateus is going to throw a knee, or he's going to hit him with like a short check right, and he's gonna wobble him. And then next fight we got Edgar Chaidez versus Daniel Da Silva. Daniel Lacerda. I don't fucking know. He's got like two last names that he goes by. I don't know how that works. Maybe it's a Brazilian thing. I don't know. Da Silva, Lacerda, whichever one it is. So neither of these guys have a win in the UFC. Edgar Chaidez technically has one fight in the UFC. His second fight was against Daniel Da Silva, and it was this is going to be a rematch because it was that whole controversial no contest where Chaidez submitted him because the referee saw his arm go limp and then stopped the fight, but he wasn't really out, and everyone was like, "What the fuck? You shouldn't have stopped the fight." So then it eventually just became a no contest. They just remade this fight. Like I said, Chaidez has one fight in UFC. It was a loss. It was against Tetsuro Taira, which was like, honestly, it was a really fucking close fight. Probably could have gone either way. To be honest, I haven't rewatched this fight, but I remember like Chaidez for sure outstruck him. I want to say in rounds 2 and 3. But Taira just won off control time, and I think that was Tetsuro Taira's closest fight ever. And Daniel Da Silva is fucking ass. Like, he's one of those shoot box guys. Like, if you train a shoot box, you're either very good or you're just fucking terrible. Like, you got Charles, Beast. You got, what's his name? You got Elvis Brenner, Beast. You got Felipe dos Santos, who's on this card, Beast. And you got Daniel Da Silva, who's just fucking terrible. Like, if his last fight wasn't a no contest, that's 5 losses in the UFC, all by finish. Like, bro, this dude got KO'd by Jeff Molina. Like, what the fuck, dude? And that was like 3 years ago. And then he got KO'd against CJ Vergara. And he got submitted by Francisco, Figueiredo. He got KO'd by Victor Altamirano. I think he's also on this card too. Like, all these finished losses. And, dude, Da Silva just doesn't know what he's fucking doing. Like, he throws shitty combinations. He's just the inferior fighter in every way. Shoots a lot of takedowns. Doesn't really fucking land them. Throws a lot of volume, and because of that, he's going to land a little bit more. These guys are like pretty equal in age. Reach is like the same. But Daniel Da Silva is just really fucking bad. And I think when he loses this fight, because he's going to lose, I don't know how I'm going to have it. I think he's probably going to get submitted, all right? He's going to get submitted. It's going to be an arm triangle. He's going to go for some shitty takedown. He's not going to get it. And then maybe he'll get like knocked down with a right cross. And then he's just going to throw some ground and pound. And then maybe he's going to get him in like an arm bar, or he's going to arm triangle him. And I think after he loses this fight, he's going to get cut by the UFC because he's just not good. So, I'm going Edgar Chaidez by... But honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if he just fucking chins him. You know what? Matter of fact, I'm going Edgar Chairez by first round knockout. I'm pretty sure De Silva has like 2 early KO losses, so I think his chin has just been, deteriorating. And he's fucking young. So I know he's got some promise because he's young, but dude, you got 5 fights in the UFC and you're training with the best, and you've lost all of those fights all by finish to shitty competition. I don't know, man. I think I don't know really what the plan is for him after this, but like I said, it's going to be Edgar Chairez by second round KO, probably TKO. He's going to drop him, and then he'll just finish him with ground and pound. Next fight, we got Claudio Puelles versus Fares Ziam. Not gonna lie, I don't know how to pronounce that guy's name. I don't know too much about him. I mean, I watched him fight in the French card. That was the one with BSD and I think Thiago Moises and Cyril Gane and Sergey Spivak, whatever. I think he won that fight. Didn't he win that fight? Yeah. Oh, yeah. It was a decision win with Jai Herbert. I feel like if you're going to decision wins with Jai Herbert, I think that's a little concerning. Jai Herbert's mediocre as fuck. But Fares Ziam is much more active than Claudio Puelles is. Claudio's last fight was like a pretty bad KO, like round 2 KO to Dan Hooker, and that was like UFC 282, 281, like that, around that era of time. So that was a fucking long time ago. Was that 2020? Yeah, that was 2022. So both these guys been in the UFC for a pretty long time. They both got a lot of wins. I wouldn't say they're very good wins. I think I would consider these guys can crushers, not to disrespect them, but they're fucking can crushers. Claudio Puelles has definitely beat the better competition. But he doesn't have any good recent wins. He submitted Clay Guida in 2022. Clay Guida's been submitted like 10 fucking times in his career. So, I mean, really how impressive is that? I mean, he's got a decision win over Jordan Levitt in 2021, which is okay. That's not at the time, it's a pretty okay win. I think Fares Ziam is a big favorite. I like to pay attention to the betting odds. I think Fares Ziam is a pretty big favorite. A lot of that is probably due to Claudio Puelles coming off a KO loss and also the inactivity. But also Fares Ziam is younger. He lands more, he throws more. Puelles shoots much more takedowns. But Fares Ziam, he has pretty good takedown defense, but if you get him down, I feel like you can really hold him down. He's been submitted like 3 times. But the reach advantage goes to Fares Ziam by a few inches. He's a few inches taller as well. I'm going to go Fares Ziam by decision. I think this is going to be a very boring fight. I don't think these guys are really high level. They're both pretty young, though, so you can't really blame them. I think they're both like 26 or some shit. But they do have a lot of UFC experience. But Fares Ziam, I don't think he has a finish in the UFC. Like all decisions against pretty mediocre guys. And Claudio Puelles, I mean, he's got a couple submissions in the UFC, but again, against fucking cans. So I'm going to go Fares Ziam by decision. I think it's going to be a pretty boring fight. It's not going to be much happens, but I'm going Ziam by decision. Next fight, we got Victor Altamirano versus Felipe dos Santos. I'm just going to go right ahead and say it. Felipe dos Santos by round 1, maybe round 2 KO. Only has 1 fight in the UFC, and he lost it, but that was against Manel Kape. Very elite competition. Guy was fighting for a fucking title eliminator belt before he missed weight. And he came in on 7 days notice, and he fights a dude that's probably like the 3rd or 4th best fighter in that division, and then he puts on a fucking show and makes every round competitive, and it was probably one of the top 10 fights of the year, and I don't really hear people talk about that fight in that conversation. Easily one of the most entertaining fights in the entire year. It's fucking tremendous. Guy's 23 years old, comes in on a week's notice, and wasn't it I think that was like the featured fight of the night. Like all of that pressure, never fought in the UFC, and he goes and does that, puts on a fucking show, looked great, was landing crazy combinations, has a crazy gas tank, crazy chin. I know he got dropped a couple times, but he was eating combinations. And I mean, to be honest, his head movement kind of fucking sucks. He kind of was just throwing shit, just being reckless, throwing crazy kicks, throwing good leg kicks. He was throwing spinning kicks, throwing flying knees. He lands a fucking shit ton because he throws, very high volume. And Victor Altamirano, he's got 2 wins in the UFC. He KO'd Daniel Lacerda, whatever, bum. And then he won a decision over Vinicius Salvador, who's also a fucking bum. And in that fight, like, it was weird. Like, he wasn't even fucking trying Salvador. Like, I mean, I don't mean it like that, but I don't know, it was weird. Like, when I was watching that fight, like, he kept showboating. He would get hit with, like, a combination and then start showboating. And he would fight really shitty in the round and then start showboating. And then he lost a very easy decision. I don't know. Like I said, he's got 2 wins against bums. And Felipe dos Santos is probably one of the most electric fighters in that division. And he's got the youth advantage. He's got the speed advantage. He's got he's got the power advantage. He throws a lot. He lands a lot. I could only imagine he's a very big favorite. Like, he's got to be a plus 250. Or not plus, I'm sorry. He got to be a minus 250, 240. Like, I'd be very, very surprised if he's not the favorite. And for all of the reasons that I just explained, I'm going to go Felipe dos Santos by round 2 KO. Next fight, we got Eric Silva versus Muhammad Naimov. I mean, I can only imagine that Muhammad Naimov is a minus 600, 700. I mean, Naimov's only got 2 fights in the UFC, and both wins, and both good wins. He's got a KO over Jamie Malarkey, and then he just fought 294 in Abu Dhabi. He won a decision over Nathaniel Wood. And while it was a close decision, Nathaniel Wood is still a very good name, and that's a very good win to have on your resume. Muhammad Naimov is about 7 years younger as well. He lands a lot of punches. He's very good combinations from what it seems. He imposes his will a lot. He kind of walks you down. I kind of like that about him. And Eric Silva has also he's got 1 fight in the UFC. He got submitted by a guy that I can't think of his name. He got submitted by TJ Brown. I don't even really know who that is. If I'm being dead honest, I really don't know who that is. To be honest, that probably says a lot. And also, he hasn't fought in a very long time. Last fought in December 2022. That was like, shit. That was UFC 282. That was the Blachowicz Ankalaev card. So yeah, like I said, the inactivity, is probably going to go to his detriment. And I also just think, I mean, he's pretty old. I don't think he has any advantages in this fight. And